Welcome to Andre's Insight, where clarity meets curiosity. Today, we're embarking on a truly fascinating deep dive. We're looking into something incredibly fundamental to being human, the intricate dance of connection, emotional understanding, and how these vital skills, well, how they help us navigate the incredibly complex world we live in now.
Absolutely.
Whether we're talking about our closest personal relationships or the huge, sometimes overwhelming digital spaces we inhabit, or even, the rapidly evolving frontier of artificial intelligence. Emotional intelligence and empathy, they aren't just buzzwords, are they?
Not at all. They seem more crucial than ever.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to pull back the curtain on the nuanced roles of emotional intelligence, EI, and empathy.
Exactly. We're going to explore their immense benefits, certainly. But also, and this might be surprising for some, they're often overlooked dark sides. The psychological insights we've gathered, they offer such a rich perspective. We'll go from defining these competencies clearly to revealing precisely how they can be twisted for manipulation, and, maybe most importantly, how our very interactions are transforming in this digital age.
Right.
Ultimately, our goal is simple. Foster a deeper understanding for you, our listener. We want to empower you with informed decision-making in your own life and relationships.
Okay, let's unpack this. Emotional intelligence, EI. It's really become a cornerstone, hasn't it, in discussions about success, both personal and professional.
It really has. You hear it everywhere.
Broadly, we define it as the ability to recognize, understand, and then, crucially, manage our own emotions. And just as importantly, the emotions of others. You often hear it championed as absolutely vital for effective leadership, for fostering strong team dynamics, for overall workplace effectiveness.
It's often seen as that invisible thread connecting people.
Yeah, allowing for a real meeting of minds, maybe even souls, you could say.
It's true that foundational definition is key, but what's truly fascinating here, and what our sources really dig into, is that EI isn't just about managing personal feelings in isolation.
Yeah.
It's more about a sophisticated form of reasoning with emotions, integrating feeling and thinking to actually enhance your thought processes, your decision-making.
So thinking and feeling working together.
Precisely. Now, there's actually quite a debate in psychological circles about even using the term intelligence for emotions.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, largely because EI often blends what we think of as traditional cognitive abilities like reasoning with various personality traits. Is it a skill you learn or just part of who you are?
Interesting distinction.
And while many organizations have jumped on the EI bandwagon, seeing it as a cure-all for everything from burnout to poor communication, a more critical look reveals potential pitfalls.
Such as?
Well, for instance, if EI training is just used to help individuals cope with their stress, rather than pushing the organization to fix systemic issues.
Like toxic bosses or impossible workloads.
Exactly. Like abusive leadership, unmanageable workloads, oppressive rules. If you don't address those, EI training can actually become a subtle form of corporate control.
How so?
Because instead of fixing the root cause, it puts all the pressure on the individual to just manage their emotions better within a toxic system.
I see. It's like putting a fancy Band-Aid on a serious wound.
Precisely. Instead of doing the necessary surgery to heal a sick culture.
That's a really powerful distinction, moving beyond just the surface level.
Yeah.
And speaking of nuance, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about empathy.
Okay.
We often use it as this kind of catch-all term for caring, right? But our sources show there are actually two distinct, though interconnected, main types. First, there's affective empathy, sometimes called emotional empathy.
Right. Feeling with someone.
Exactly. It's our innate capacity to respond with an appropriate emotion to someone else's mental or emotional state, truly feeling with them, like a resonance. This includes something called emotional contagion.
Oh, yeah, that's powerful.
Isn't it? That often subconscious feeling of being genuinely affected by someone else's emotions. You walk into a room where someone's anxious and boom, you feel it too.
You catch the feeling.
Totally. And within affective empathy, there are these subscales. There's empathic concern, which is that sympathy and compassion we feel for others when they're suffering, wanting to help.
The caring part.
Right. And then there's personal distress, which is our own discomfort, our anxiety when we see someone else suffering.
That's different, more self-focused.
Exactly. And interestingly, developmental psychology shows infants first display personal distress. One baby cries, they all cry.
Yeah.
Only later, around age 2, do they start developing more other-oriented responses, like trying to comfort someone. It's a real journey from self-reaction to outward compassion.
That's a crucial developmental point. And it leads us perfectly to the second type, Cognitive empathy.
Okay, so what's that?
Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand another's perspective or mental state. It's not necessarily about feeling their emotions.
More about understanding what they're feeling and why.
Precisely. It's about intellectually grasping their viewpoint. You'll hear it used interchangeably with terms like perspective taking, theory of mind, or mentalizing. Thinking about what others might be thinking or feeling.
Okay.
Its subscales include perspective taking, just spontaneously adopting someone else's psychological viewpoint in fantasy, which is our tendency to identify with fictional characters, getting lost in their story, understanding their motives.
Right, like when you're reading a book or watching a movie.
Exactly. Now, what's quite significant here is this concept of tactical empathy.
Tactical empathy sounds deliberate.
It is. It's the deliberate, strategic use of perspective taking for specific desired ends. Think of a negotiator who really gets the other side's fears and desires.
Not to sympathize, but to leverage it.
Exactly, to achieve their own objective. Or a marketer who figures out your emotional triggers to sell you something.
Wow.
And what's also quite telling, maybe a bit humbling, is that self-report measures of cognitive empathy, like questionnaires where you rate yourself, often show very little connection to actual behavioral measures.
So we might think we're good at understanding others.
But how we actually act might tell a very different story. People aren't always the best judges of their own cognitive empathy skills.
So it's not just about what we feel or even what we think we understand, but how our brains actually process all this. Neuroscience is giving us clues, right?
Huge clues. We're learning so much.
These studies are showing specific brain regions are really involved in emotional and empathic responses, like the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the VMPFC.
Right, that's crucial for integrating emotion and cognition, making decisions that weigh emotional factors.
And the amygdala, of course, the brain's alarm system.
Definitely. Deeply involved in processing core emotions like fear, anxiety, helping us react quickly to threats.
And then the broader prefrontal cortex, the PFC, including areas like the medial PFC, inferior frontal cortex, orbitofrontal cortex.
These are the brain's executive control centers. They work together to give us our rich emotional lives, allowing for regulation, planning, complex social understanding. It's the hub. And connecting this to the bigger picture, these brain areas are absolutely critical for what you might call our emotional agility.
Emotional agility.
Yeah, they're implicated not just in integrating emotion and cognition, helping us think clearly even when emotions are intense, but also in regulating our emotional responses, which is vital for mental well-being.
Right, stopping us from flying off the handle, maybe.
Exactly. And studies have even linked the strength and connectivity in these regions to predicting resilience to things like anxiety and depression.
So understanding our brain activity isn't just academic.
Yeah, not at all. It gives you a powerful tool for self-awareness. Knowing when your amygdala, your alarm system, is just doing its job or maybe overreacting, and how you can then consciously engage your prefrontal cortex to respond more thoughtfully. It's like having a manual for your own mind.
Wow. But the story doesn't end in the brain, does it? You mentioned the gut.
Ah, yes, the gut, often called the second brain. It profoundly influences our thoughts and emotions too.
How does that work?
Through its huge network of neurons and neurotransmitters, it communicates directly with the brain, mainly via the vagus nerve. It's linked to mental health, especially through inflammation and neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to rewire itself is becoming much clearer.
So gut health affects mood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For example, certain healthy gut bacteria can actually signal neurons to release GABA, a neurotransmitter that promotes calmness, directly influencing your emotional state.
That's incredible. It really highlights a holistic view of emotional well-being.
It really does, far beyond just what's happening between our ears.
That gut-brain connection influencing our emotional landscape. It's mind-blowing. And speaking of external factors shaping our internal world, emotions aren't just internal, are they? How we express them is deeply shaped by culture.
Massively. Cultural lenses are huge here.
Well, our basic physiological responses like heart rate when we're excited or angry seem pretty similar across cultures.
The underlying biology, yeah.
The display of those emotions, our facial expressions, our behavior, can differ significantly. There's that example, right, about smiling.
Yes, the studies comparing European Americans and Hmong Americans.
Tell us about that.
Well, they consistently show that European Americans tend to smile more frequently and more intensely than Hmong Americans when feeling happy.
Even if they report feeling the same level of happiness inside.
Exactly. It perfectly illustrates how cultural norms, these unwritten display rules dictate the outward presentation of emotion, not necessarily the inner feeling itself.
That's a critical distinction.
And what's truly fascinating here is how this plays out in broader cultural contexts, especially comparing individualistic cultures like the U.S.
Versus collectivistic cultures, like Japan or many East Asian societies.
These cultural differences profoundly impact how we define and interact with our in-groups. People like us, family, close friends, colleagues.
And out-groups people outside that circle.
Exactly. For instance, in collectivistic cultures, openly expressing anger towards someone in your in-group. That might be much more restrained than in individualistic cultures.
Why is that?
There is a strong emphasis on maintaining harmony, saving face within the group. Direct emotional expression might be seen as disruptive,
Understanding without
whereas
feeling
in individualistic
versus connecting
cultures, it
with
might be viewed as
authenticity.
more authentic or independent.
Okay.
Conversely, anger towards outgroup members can sometimes be expressed more freely in collectivistic societies. There's less need to preserve harmony with them.
Which can lead to misunderstandings between cultures, I imagine.
Huge misunderstandings. And even how we perceive anger expression can affect life satisfaction differently. In some cultures, expressing anger might be linked to showing authority. In others, it's just seen as unhealthy venting.
Wow. It shows how deep these cultural rules run, often without us even realizing it.
Totally below our conscious awareness much of the time.
That exploration of cultural nuances really sets the stage for a deeper, maybe more unsettling side of these powerful traits.
The dark side.
Because the very quality of empathy, which we usually praise as one of humanity's greatest strengths.
The glue that binds us.
Right. Enabling compassion, connection, it can actually be twisted, repurposed into a tool for manipulation.
It's a chilling thought, but true.
Our sources reveal
Understanding
that
without
individuals
feeling
with certain
versus
personality
connecting with
structures, particularly
authenticity.
narcissists, can be masters of this. They often use what's called a victim stance.
Yes. The perpetual victim.
Explain that.
It's this profound cognitive distortion where they meticulously rewrite history, alter reality to paint themselves as the wronged party, the innocent target.
Especially when confronted, right?
Exactly. Especially when confronted about their behavior or after they've been aggressive. Imagine the confusion, the disorientation this creates for partners or colleagues.
It makes you question your own sanity.
Completely. It's a form of gaslighting, really. So how exactly does this exploitation work? Manipulative individuals use several specific, often subtle tactics.
Like what?
Well, they might consciously or unconsciously withhold empathy to control a partner, create an emotional vacuum, leaving the other person starved for connection, for validation.
That sounds awful.
Or, and this is where the dark side of empathy really kicks in, they might use their understanding of another's emotional state, knowing their fears, their insecurities.
To manipulate them or gain power.
Precisely. This calculated emotional deprivation, or exploitation, can trigger deep insecurity and attachment anxiety in partners, trapping them in a cycle of craving approval.
Wow. And then there's love bombing.
Yes, love bombing. A tactic often linked to narcissism and insecure attachment.
What does that look like?
It's that intensely overwhelming initial phase of a relationship, disproportionate affection, over-the-top flattery, talking about your shared future way too soon.
Feels too good to be true.
Often is. And usually involves subtle control or jealousy right from the start. It creates this intoxicating high that makes later emotional abuse much harder to recognize or leave.
Deceptive.
Very. Another key trait is a relative immunity to genuine guilt.
They don't feel guilt.
Not genuine guilt. True guilt, our sources say, requires acknowledging fault, focusing on how your actions affected others, feeling remorse.
Taking responsibility.
Right. Qualities often conspicuously absent. They might express superficial regret, but only if it helps them avoid consequences. And some research even suggests narcissists might not truly lack empathy fundamentally, but rather they limit its expression as a self-protective mechanism, maybe due to underlying vulnerability or fear of being perceived as weak or threatened.
So they shut it down deliberately.
It seems that way sometimes. They might appear cold or avoid responsibility precisely when they feel powerless or exposed, seeing empathy as a weakness they can't afford.
So it's not just a lack, but maybe a deliberate suppression of empathy, which makes it a really dangerous tool.
It can be, yes.
And this leads us right into this fascinating, if unsettling, concept in personality psychology. The dark triad.
Right. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy.
Narcissism, we've touched on grandiosity, need for admiration. Machiavellianism.
That's about being cunning, manipulative, focused on self-interest above all else.
And psychopathy.
Marked by a lack of empathy, or at least effective empathy, impulsivity, antisocial behavior.
Traditionally, these traits are linked with reduced empathy, right?
That's been the standard view, yes. People with psychopathic traits might be great at recognizing emotions in others, reading fear or desire.
Cognitive empathy.
Potentially high cognitive empathy, yes, but they don't necessarily feel it themselves in a compassionate way, low effective empathy.
Okay. But recent research has found something surprising.
Groundbreaking, really. It's identified a subpopulation that completely challenges this view. What's truly fascinating here is the emergence of the dark empath.
The dark empath. What's that?
It's a novel psychological construct. It describes individuals who, paradoxically, have a cluster of these dark personality traits. Psychopathy, narcissism, Machiavellianism,
Okay.
combined with elevated levels of empathy, both affective, feeling empathy, and cognitive, understanding empathy.
Wait, so they have dark traits and high empathy.
Exactly. It's a stark contrast to the traditional dark triad group, who consistently show low empathy.
What does that even mean in practice?
Well, the profound implication is that these dark empaths can intellectually understand your emotions, maybe even feel some resonance with them, but they still keep their underlying antagonistic tendencies.
So the empathy doesn't soften them.
Apparently not entirely. Despite having this higher empathy, dark empaths are still more likely to engage in indirect aggression. Things like guilt induction, making you feel bad for their actions, or using malicious humor to undermine or belittle you.
So the empathy doesn't stop the aggression.
It seems it doesn't fully mitigate relational aggression. The antagonism persists, maybe just expressed more subtly, more cleverly.
It's like their understanding of emotions makes them better manipulators.
That's the chilling possibility. More precise in their targeting, not less aggressive, they know exactly which buttons to push.
So it's not a softening, but potentially a more sophisticated, insidious way of deploying their dark side. Makes them incredibly
Understanding
hard to
without
spot.
feeling
It certainly could.
versus
And you
connecting
mentioned
with
the
authenticity.
dark dyad, psychopathy and narcissism. These people are often Machiavellian too.
Almost inherently, yes. In organizations, you see them exploiting subordinates, taking credit for others' work, being overly critical, behaving inappropriately.
The corporate psychopath.
Right. They might get promoted rapidly because they seem charming, decisive, even ruthless, which can be mistaken for strong leadership.
But it's really manipulation and bullying.
Often, yes. They're masters of creating confusion, divide and rule tactics, turning colleagues against each other, fostering distrust. It makes the workplace toxic.
They sound like they thrive in chaos.
Sometimes they create it. And they can often maintain this unnerving calm in stressful situations, which can make them seem competent when they're actually destructive. This raises a really important question for all of us, navigating relationships. Where do we draw the line between genuine charisma and calculated manipulation?
That's a tough one.
True charisma, think of figures like Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi. It can be a profoundly positive force.
Based on conviction, inspiring hope, unity.
Exactly, rooted in genuine connection and a shared vision. Their influence was authentic.
But manipulation, that's different.
Very different. It involves twisting others to your point of view, often using underhand deceptive techniques, disguising aggressive intent as something helpful or caring.
It's about exploitation for personal gain.
Fundamentally, disregarding the other person's autonomy and well-being. Charisma, genuine charisma, draws people to follow through authentic charm, grace, and inspiring presence.
So the key difference is intent, sincerity.
Intent and sincerity, absolutely. Our sources emphasize that. Toxic leaders, for instance, are often highly charismatic.
Understanding
Right, that
without
superficial
feeling
charm we mentioned.
versus
But they use
connecting
that
with
charm
authenticity.
not to inspire positive change for everyone, but to mislead, deceive, and ruthlessly advance their own agendas.
Leaving chaos in their wake.
Exactly. A trail of discord, broken trust, and often real destruction. It's a fundamental difference in both purpose and impact.
Okay, given all these complexities, let's pivot. Let's look at how emotional intelligence plays out in leadership and our everyday relationships. Starting with the positive side, the immense promise of emotionally intelligent leadership.
Yes, the constructive side.
Leaders who genuinely embody EI are consistently seen as far more effective, aren't they?
The research strongly supports that, yes.
They navigate complex interpersonal dynamics better. They foster something really crucial in teams, psychological safety.
That feeling of being safe to speak up, take risks, make mistakes.
Exactly, without fear of punishment. And ultimately, they create genuinely supportive work environments where people can actually thrive, not just survive.
To connect this to the bigger picture, these leaders really show higher levels of self-awareness, understanding their own impact, deep empathy, understanding their team members, and sophisticated emotional regulation, managing their reactions, especially under pressure.
So they handle conflict better, motivate teams.
Much better. They can manage conflict constructively, turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. They understand individual drivers and needs, so they motivate more effectively. And ultimately, they improve decision-making and adaptability because they consider both the data and the human element.
Makes sense.
And it's important to stress, EI in leadership shouldn't just be about individuals managing their emotions better to fit into a flawed system.
Right, you mentioned that earlier.
Its true power should be about driving structural changes towards fairness, equity, inclusion, creating an environment where everyone feels safe, respected, and genuinely heard. That leads to a healthier, more productive culture for everyone involved.
However, the unfortunate reality is that toxic leadership is still out there, and it has devastating consequences.
Sadly, yes, it's far too common.
There are clear red flags, aren't there? Signs of a toxic boss.
Definitely. Things to watch out for.
Like micromanaging every single detail, suffocating people, eroding trust,
Classic control tactic.
playing favorites within the team, creating resentment,
Divisive and undermines morale.
and, maybe most frustratingly, refusing to listen or accept feedback. That rigid my way or the highway approach.
Shuts down any innovation or dissent. Very authoritarian.
They might rule by fear, demand obedience, and paradoxically, they can also be totally disengaged themselves, failing to provide support while still controlling everything.
It's a strange mix sometimes. From overt bullies to covert narcissists, or just people with extreme, unpredictable moods that keep everyone walking on eggshells. What's truly fascinating here, and deeply troubling, is the devastating impact. It's not just on individual employees.
It affects the whole organization.
Absolutely. Toxic leaders can actively create unhealthy subcultures, foster these entrenched power groups, lead to pervasive low morale that just saps productivity and creativity.
Wow.
They often use emotional warmth selectively, turn it on when it serves their agenda, creates a manipulative dynamic.
Makes people dependent on their approval.
Exactly. Creates relationships of dependency, transparency disappears, replaced by ambiguity, mixed messages. Psychological safety is completely undermined.
Leaving employees anxious, burned out.
And afraid to speak up for fear of backlash. This hits everything from individual mental health right through to the company's bottom line. High turnover, damaged reputation. It's incredibly costly.
That paints an incredibly bleak picture. And it creates such a challenging, often isolating situation for employees, especially when these leaders seem untouchable, right? Entrenched in the organization.
It can feel impossible, even dangerous, to confront them directly sometimes.
So this raises that critical question. What can you as an individual actually do if you're stuck in a dynamic like that?
Okay, so the first crucial step, based on our sources, is to recognize manipulation for what it is. See it clearly. It's not care. It's not a misunderstanding. It's a tactic.
Acknowledge reality.
Yes. Once you've identified it, you must establish clear boundaries.
Boundaries. We hear that word a lot. What does it mean practically?
They are essential personal rules, based on your needs, your values, your beliefs. They act as a healthy line of protection for your mental and emotional health. Think of them like invisible fences around your personal space and energy.
You're setting limits.
Exactly. And while it might feel uncomfortable at first to set them, clear, consistent communication about these boundaries is absolutely key.
Okay, so boundaries first. What else? To protect yourself.
Strategically limit the personal information you share. Keep interactions strictly professional, work-focused.
Don't give them ammunition.
Precisely. Their aim is often to exploit vulnerabilities and seek support. Talk to trusted colleagues, friends, mentors. Toxic leaders often try to isolate people.
Right, break down that isolation.
A strong support system is essential for clarity, confidence, and most importantly, practice assertiveness.
Assertiveness, not aggression.
Definitely not aggression. Assertiveness is expressing your point of view clearly and directly, stating your needs, your limits, while still respecting others.
So direct, but respectful.
Exactly. It minimizes conflict by being direct, and it improves relationships by fostering clarity. It's about expressing your truth without being passive or aggressive. And one more thing. In those really high-tension situations, whether at work or personally, it's crucial to learn to pause. Make a deliberate pause to calm down before responding.
Take a breath.
Yes. This isn't stonewalling that's ignoring the other person. This is a conscious temporary break to regulate your own emotions.
How would you phrase that?
You could say something like, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I need a few minutes to clear my thoughts. Can we resume this conversation in, say, 15 minutes?
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
It shows you intend to continue constructively, rather than just withdrawing. It allows both sides to collect themselves for a more productive, less reactive exchange. It's a really powerful tool for de-escalation.
Okay, shifting gears now into our modern landscape.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to the unique, evolving challenges of human interaction in the digital age.
A huge topic.
Texting, social media, email. They've increasingly replaced face-to-face communication, haven't they? Fundamentally reshaping how we connect.
No doubt about it.
And now, with AI
Understanding
chatbots
without
like Siri
feeling
and these
versus
incredibly
connecting with
sophisticated large
authenticity.
language models we're interacting with daily, this trend of mediated connection is just accelerating.
It really is. More screen-to-screen, text-based, algorithmic connection than ever.
So what's the impact?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is the profound, often subtle impact this shift has on our emotional connection and our capacity for empathy.
How so?
The most immediate thing is the absence of nonverbal cues. Tone of voice, micro-expressions on a face, body language, even just feeling someone's presence.
All that gets lost online.
Stripped away, which severely hinders our ability to truly connect emotionally. It reduces empathy and leads to so many misunderstandings and misinterpretations.
Yeah, tone is so hard to read in text.
Exactly. Online interactions also tend to be brief, maybe asynchronous, transactional, boiling complex exchanges down to quick messages.
Leading to shallower connections.
Often, yes. And paradoxically, feelings of loneliness and isolation despite being constantly connected digitally. It's that
Understanding without
alone
feeling
together phenomenon.
versus
Always
connecting
connected,
with
but feeling
authenticity.
disconnected.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there were the algorithms on social media, designed to keep us engaged by showing us stuff we already like or agree with.
The echo chamber.
Exactly. They create these powerful echo chambers. Our exposure to diverse viewpoints shrinks dramatically, which actively hinders the development of cognitive empathy, our ability to understand perspectives different from our own.
It makes it harder to understand the other.
Incredibly difficult. It's a self-reinforcing loop.
And this lack of connection, this erosion of perspective taking, it often leads to some pretty negative, even aggressive online behavior, doesn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely.
Like digital flaming.
Yes. That widespread verbal abuse, swearing, hateful language, even blasphemy we sadly see all over social media.
For perceived freedom of expression just goes way beyond respect or decency.
And causes significant mental distress, anxiety, even trauma to the victims. It's a serious problem.
So what drives it? Why do people do it?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, the research points to a few key motivations. Things like fanaticism, wanting to incite or provoke, impulsive emotions expressed without a filter.
Like an online tantrum?
Kind of. Also, low digital literacy, not understanding online etiquette. The anonymity provided by fake accounts is a big one.
Hiding behind a screen.
Exactly. And crucially, a significant pervasive lack of empathy. Our sources clearly show that a lack of empathy makes individuals feel they have unlimited freedom of expression. They don't care about the limits that respect others' freedom and well-being.
That's dangerous.
It is. It can normalize aggressive online behavior, making the digital world hostile. Without the feedback loops of face-to-face interaction, the guardrails just come off.
Okay, so understanding that dynamic, how do we even begin to mitigate this? What can people do?
Well, there are general strategies for personal safety. Thinking carefully before you share or comment. Learning to recognize fake accounts or bots.
Being savvy online.
Right. Proactively blocking users who are abusive or annoying. Protecting your online identity and personal information. Basic digital hygiene.
Makes sense.
But while those are good practical tips, the foundational solutions for society, they involve increasing empathy, cultivating the ability to genuinely understand and share others' feelings.
Okay, what else?
Developing stronger self-control. Pausing, thinking before acting or typing. Fostering tolerance, respecting differences in opinions, beliefs, backgrounds. And upholding a sense of justice, treating others fairly, online and off.
So it's about changing the culture.
Exactly. Shifting from antagonism to mutual respect. These are the cornerstones for healthier, more humane digital interactions.
Now let's delve into an even newer, maybe more perplexing frontier. The intersection of artificial intelligence, human emotions, and our own cognition.
Right. The AI revolution.
We're seeing amazing advancements, but there's this ongoing debate, isn't there? Is it truly intelligence like ours, or just really advanced machine learning? sophisticated pattern recognition.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Either way, its interaction with emotional intelligence, its potential to mimic or even influence human emotions. It's complex and evolving incredibly fast. It demands our attention.
It absolutely does. And this raises a multitude of important questions, several complex challenges that our sources really bring to the forefront.
Like what?
Well, first, significant ethical concerns. Machines trying to interpret human emotions. That brings up huge privacy issues about emotional data collection. Who owns it? How is it used?
And bias.
Huge risk of bias. AI's systems trained on human data often inherit our historical biases, which could be amplified when trying to mimic empathy.
What else?
Security is a major concern. There's strong agreement among people surveyed that deploying emotion-sensitive AI in organizations creates significant security vulnerabilities, new ways to exploit or manipulate people.
Wow. And how valuable do people think this emotional AI even is?
Interestingly, many respondents felt AI's profound surmisings, its deep insights based on emotional data, were, well, unseemly, maybe unimportant for business, like it was crossing a line or just not yielding truly valuable insights. Then there's human-AI collaboration, HAIC. It can definitely enhance efficiency in areas like software development, debugging code, testing.
Okay, that sounds useful.
It can be, but there's an undeniable critical need for human oversight. The concern is that over-reliance on AI could potentially paralyze human creativity and productivity. Well, if AI is always generating the first draft or the optimal solution, will humans stop developing their own original ideas? Will we become passive consumers of AI output?
That's a worrying thought.
And critically, a growing concern is that entrusting too many tasks to AI, especially complex reasoning or pattern recognition, might lead to a gradual loss of our own critical thinking skills.
Like relying on calculators affects mental math.
Exactly. Or how GPS affects our sense of direction. The human brain is like a muscle. If we don't actively use our critical thinking skills, we risk losing them.
Use it or lose it.
Precisely. It's a real use it or lose it scenario for our cognitive muscles, making us potentially more vulnerable to manipulation, less capable of independent thought down the line.
Okay, given all these complex dynamics, the dark side of empathy, the digital age challenges, AI cultivating inner strength seems more important than ever for our well-being.
Absolutely paramount.
Let's talk about the power of emotional self-control and resilience. Self-control isn't just about bottling things up, right?
Not at all. It's about making deliberate, wise decisions even when emotions are running high. It's crucial everywhere, navigating difficult conversations, fostering healthy relationships.
Because when emotions control us,
We react impulsively, say or do things out of anger or fear that we deeply regret later, damaging trust, creating problems.
right?
And what's truly fascinating here is how self-control connects to broader emotional well-being and resilience.
How does EI fit in?
Well, EI skills like recognizing patterns, understanding your own emotional triggers and reactions, and exercising optimism, framing challenges as learning opportunities are crucial for building resilience.
Seeing setbacks differently.
Exactly. Viewing adversity not as the end of the world, but as a temporary setback, part of growth. It's about combining thinking and feeling in smarter, more intentional ways.
So not fighting feelings, but understanding them.
Making friends with them, understanding their messages, and then choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with your values and long-term goals. That fosters true emotional well-being.
And a core, non-negotiable part of protecting that well-being, strengthening ourselves, is communicating and enforcing healthy boundaries.
Absolutely non-negotiable.
Boundaries. We said they're personal rules based on our needs, values, beliefs, past experiences.
Right. They guide how others can treat us, how we expect to be spoken to, what we will and won't tolerate.
They provide a sense of control, protect our mental health.
Exactly. Think of them as those protective walls around your inner peace.
So what happens if we don't set clear boundaries?
Well, the answer is pretty simple. Not setting clear boundaries opens wide opportunities for others to take advantage of us. Socially, professionally, romantically, even within families.
It makes us vulnerable.
Completely. And while it can feel uncomfortable, even scary at first to establish and communicate them, clear communication is key. It takes courage to state your limits respectfully but firmly.
Even in tough conversations.
Especially then. And remember that pause technique. If things get heated and you need a moment, suggesting a temporary break, not stonewalling, but a deliberate pause,
Like, I need 5 minutes.
to gather my thoughts so I can respond constructively. That shows you intend to continue constructively, not just shut down. It allows everyone to cool off for a more productive exchange. It's a sign of emotional maturity and self-respect.
Finally, let's explore that delicate balance between trusting your instincts and honing your critical thinking. We all have that gut instinct, right? That immediate sense of knowing.
System 1 thinking, as the psychologists call it, the brain rapidly identifying patterns based on vast past knowledge and experience.
In neuroscience shows brain areas like the VMPFC and amygdala are involved in these fast, instinctive responses.
Right, linking back to our earlier discussion. Experienced people in familiar, high-stakes situations, seasoned investors, skilled surgeons often develop incredibly strong, reliable intuition.
Because their brains have cataloged countless patterns.
Exactly, allowing for rapid, often correct decisions that bypass slow, conscious thought.
But intuition isn't foolproof.
Definitely not. It can be susceptible to biases, misinterpretations, especially in new situations, which reinforces our point about AI's potential impact.
That critical thinking is still paramount.
Absolutely paramount. Even with the best tech assistants, human critical thinking requires active engagement, questioning assumptions, weighing evidence, analyzing diverse perspectives, not just passively relying on algorithms or initial gut feelings.
We need to keep exercising that muscle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about using these powerful tools, AI, intuition wisely, not letting them replace our own cognitive muscles. We have to actively practice reasoned thought, careful consideration, independent judgment to navigate this complex world effectively. It's a call to intellectual diligence, really.
So after all that, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've journeyed from defining empathy and emotional intelligence, their nuances,
Effective cognitive.
to understanding their dual nature, how they can be incredible tools for connection, relationships, leadership.
But also, disturbingly, how they can be weaponized for manipulation.
We've explored the implications for leadership, the challenges of spotting and countering toxicity.
And those profound shifts in human interaction in our digital age, especially with AI accelerating things.
It's a complex, multi-layered landscape, isn't it? But one that offers incredible opportunities for growth, understanding, and maybe even self-mastery.
To connect this all to the bigger picture, in a world that's increasingly shaped by these complex emotional dynamics, unprecedented digital interactions, and emerging technologies that challenge our very ideas of intelligence. True understanding isn't just about absorbing information like we've shared today.
It's more than that.
Much more. It's about cultivating profound self-awareness, relentlessly sharpening your critical thinking skills, and finding the courage to actually apply these insights in how you relate to yourself, how you interact with others, and how you engage with this evolving digital world around you. The knowledge, the insights, they're now yours to integrate and apply. So the question really becomes, what will you choose to do with this deeper insight, and how will you use it to navigate your world?
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you'll reflect on these insights and continue your own journey of clarity and curiosity.
If this opened your eyes, share this knowledge. Subscribe for more. Stay aware, stay ethical.